manage research and research coordination. I also work with my staff under research and development to plan, coordinate, implement, and evaluate research activities countrywide. I've been working at KEFRI for over 30 years, since the late 1980s. And I started the journey towards being a tree doctor after graduating from the University of Nairobi. And I was recruited here purposely for forest mycology and pathology. After that, I worked in KEFRI for about 4 years before I won a scholarship to study Masters of Science in Forestry from University of Melbourne, Australia. And then after that, I came back. I worked for some time before embarking on my PhD studies, which was funded by the Fond Foundation to study forest pathology and mycology at the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences. Let me start also by recognizing the people who have been with me through this journey. When I came here, I started to work with Eli Mwanza, and I really want to appreciate my mentor, Eli Mwanza, who has retired. I also have been working with Linus Mwangi. They are the ones I found here as mycologists. And we've worked together up to now to improve the health of our trees. Forest pathology has a lot to do with theory and practical. In the lab, and I want to speak to the young graduates so that we know the journey of a researcher. When you graduate from the university, you don't have a lot of practical background. So in the lab, I met very, very able people who I worked with, and I want to mention them. I found Francis Monga here in the lab, the pathology lab, Stephen Kang'ethe, Simon Waithaka, and Hannah Chege, who are then the seniors. Then about the same time, Luca Gibera came in. And then we were joined by Ruth Njuguna, Emily Obterik, Emmanuel Oduori, Boaz Ngonga, and Victor Boro, who also left, and Rebecca. It is important to appreciate people in the journey of this forest pathology. So my appreciation goes to those people who have been with me and are still with me, some of them. And our duties then were mainly surveys in forest plantations and few visits on the farms. By then, forestry was more to do with forest plantations. So most of the problems we worked with are problems of plantations. But in the mid-1990s, towards the 2000s, when extension was at its peak and agroforestry came in, we started to go more on the farms. And that is where my passion has been, the pathology of agroforestry systems. So throughout this journey, I have learned to appreciate one thing, the role of microbes in the environment. I learned to appreciate the importance of attention to very, very small details, like how does a spore look like? How should you draw it? How does it change? How does it actually infect the plant to cause disease? So my field, as I say, as a tree doctor, is a lot to do about understanding microorganisms and how they work in the environment. My first assignments, other than surveys in the environments, the seed center was set about the same time, the mid-1980s. And during its development, the staff who were working at the seed center also realized that our seeds already had issues. So I became passionate about the seeds because they were easy to work with. And I remember I started working with indigenous species from the beginning, that is Juniperus procera. By then it had issues. I worked on it together with other staff in pathology. I also worked with Boscia coriaceae and Prunus africana. By then we still had problems, and Ocotea osambarensis. For those who know, Ocotea osambarensis, that is camphor, still has problems. And as an institution, we have not made major breakthroughs in terms of propagating Ocotea, that is camphor. Our scientists are still trying to raise it from cuttings because the seeds have serious dormancy and pathological issues. In addition to the fact that the species seeds very sporadically, you cannot tell when it will seed. And you know that is a key species in this country. So from there, I became passionate about tree seeds and solving problems of tree seeds. After I went for my PhD, I worked also on other diseases that I realized about 15 years ago were becoming a problem. That is the canker and dieback diseases. And I worked on Grevillea robusta, which is a common and popular agroforestry tree species, identifying the causes of its death, especially in some areas, because everybody loves Grevillea robusta and they plant it everywhere. But then we realized it was not working well. So I decided to work on it because it had a whole spectrum which could give me a philosophy of understanding what the issues were to work on the species. And also we know that at the farm level, Grevillea is, I think, is only second to eucalyptus. So for me it is important that we understood the problems of Grevillea and how to manage them. My major discovery at this point as a pathologist is that diseases are everywhere, and especially on the trees. And my main curiosity was, how can we solve the problems of tree diseases, knowing that they are tall, and because they pose a problem in the society, in the environment. They are perennial. They are not like crops. That is, we say they are evergreen. So the fact that they are evergreen and they'll be there for 1 year, 2 years, maybe up to the rotation age of 25, it is very, very key. And I keep repeating, it is very key that we get it right, because they are there in the environment, and once a tree is infected, it is a forever source of infection to the crops around it and the crops underneath. That is a topic for another day, which we can explore, the pathology of agroforestry systems. Why is it so difficult to manage diseases in an agroforestry system? Because I have said, you have a permanent reservoir in the environment. So if they are infected, the crops will come, maize will come and go. The tomatoes will come, they'll die from the blight or from other diseases, they go, but the tree remains as a source of inoculum. And that way, crop protection is becoming more and more expensive unless we manage tree diseases at the farm level.